All right, welcome back for scenario 4.
Scenario 4. So, just for you all, I'm going through basic scenarios. There's variations to all of these
Yes,
scenarios.
that's what I wanted to say. Keep in mind, this is hunting.
Bingo.
We're not going out killing, we're hunting. So some days it'll work, some days it won't. Some of the stuff that he says will work every time, and he'll be the first one to say sometimes it'll never work.
I don't know if it works every time, but I've been successful using these techniques
More often than not.
more than once. I've been lucky, and you find those 2-year-old birds that you can rub 2 rocks together and they're going to come running in, and you can shoot them at 10 yards. You know what I mean? But the scenarios that we're sharing with you all have worked for me time and time again. And then there's just some birds that you just they just don't, they won't respond, they don't come in, or whatever the case may be. There's a million different scenarios. So scenario 4. So let's talk about scenario 4. Scenario 4 is, there's turkeys in the area. You see scratching, or maybe you've heard them. You heard them 2 weeks ago. But that particular morning, we get up, we go, we don't hear nothing. It's crickets. They didn't gobble off the roost. You heard nothing. But there's turkeys there, or they've been there. All right. So what do you do in that? So in that scenario, I do what's called run and gun. All right. So I'm going to cover as much ground as possible, and I'm going to call. So I climb up on this ridge and I'm going to call. Classic yelp. I'll listen. Nothing. I do that again. I listen. I may walk down that ridge several hundred yards because there's little finger ridges going off of it, right? So I walk several hundred yards. I do the same thing. And I listen. So what I'm doing is I'm covering. I didn't hear a turkey off the roost that morning, so I couldn't set up. Or maybe I heard a turkey that was on the neighbor's property, right? I can't go over there legally and hunting, so I gotta move on. So it's called running and gunning. I'm trying to locate a turkey that might respond to me that I could not hear. Maybe where I was on this ridge at daylight, maybe a turkey gobbled 4 ridges over that I couldn't hear from my location, or maybe it's a windy morning like today. It's a windy day, and I just couldn't hear him. But as I cover ground, I might get into his area to where he'll answer me, and then I can go after him, so to speak. So I'm trying to cover ground. All right.
So are you walking and calling?
I walk and I stand and listen for a little bit, and then I'll call. And I'll spend 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at that location.
Okay.
And I might make 3 or 4 calls, and I'm listening.
So it's not like when he says he's running and gunning, it's not like he's walking.
I'm just covering ground.
Yeah.
So, I might, or in the national forest, I might get on a logging road and just walk that logging road for several miles, making those calls. And a lot of times I'll find a bird that's hot and temperature's right, and everything works out. But I didn't hear nothing on the roost that day or that morning, right? All right. So so I hear that bird. Say a bird gobbles at me. Now I'm going to do the same thing like I do in the morning. I'm going to try to get as close to him. Now it's going to be good in daylight. I can see where I'm walking. You know, I might even get my phone out and look on OnX and kind of look at the property, if it's newer property or whatever the case may be. You got time. It's not a race. But I'm going to try to get as close to that turkey as I can. I'm going to try to get above him or on the same level. And I'm going to set up. And when we say set up, it's your typical, I'm getting up against a tree, my face mask is on, I'm expecting that turkey to come to me. I'm not going to be standing there with my gun on my shoulder and call to him 3 or 4 times, because next thing you know, boom, he's there and you're not ready. So I get close enough to him to where I can set up. So I've got the gun on my knee. I'm ready. I'm all camoed up. I'm ready. He's slightly below me, or he's out the ridge, or maybe he's down the power line. Whatever the scenario is, I'm set up and I'm going to call to him. I'm going to check his temperature. If he gobbles and he cuts me off, I'm going to keep calling to him. If he only gobbles every once in a while, but he hasn't gone anywhere, right? Now I might play hard to get. So I call to him. Oh, he gobbles. He didn't cut me off. I already called, and I had stopped calling, and now he gobbles. So I'm going to wait a couple minutes. He might gobble by himself. That's a good sign. But maybe he doesn't. So we're going to say in this scenario he doesn't gobble. So I call to him again. Bah, he gobbles. Still same area. He hasn't moved. He hasn't got any closer. He hasn't gotten further away. So what I might do is I might turn away from him and call to make
sound different,
to make it appear that I'm further away from him. Or I might even get up and move back 50, 75 yards and call. Now it seems like the old hen's kind of moving away from him, and sometimes that might make him come. All right. So a million different scenarios for all these things. One thing that I like to do is he's there. Maybe he's in a strut zone that I can't. He might be in a strut zone. Probably is in a strut zone. So I tried those tricks, or I might just be quiet and just stay on the gun and wait 30 minutes. He might come in silent. You know, I've gotten quiet. He might be scratching and feeding around, and next thing you know, he's like, that old hen ain't yelping no more. I'm gonna go and check on her. And he might come on down there to you, silent. But you're there, you're ready. There he is, boom. You harvest him. One thing that I like to do is a fight and purr. Just like anything else, nobody passes up a good fight, right? So I can yelp to him, and then I can try to get him curious with a fight. You know, I can do a So I need to prep that, by the way. But it sounds like two turkeys fighting. They get to, and I might even take my hat, flop it on the ground, or flop it on my leg to make it sound like their wings are flapping. And sometimes them old God, boy, they can't resist a fight, and here they come.
Okay.
Right. So scenario 4 is we listened, we didn't hear nothing at daylight. So then I started running and gunning and try to locate a turkey. We located one and we played hard to get. We're always taking their temperature, right?
Good.
So if a turkey is not gobbling very much, then maybe you don't call very much. Also, that might be a good time to change calls up. You know, maybe the call that you're using just doesn't appeal to them very much. That's a good time to try a different call, or now you're sounding like 2 different hens, and that might get them fired up and they come on in. So
a variety of different ways. You just got to try it.
yeah,
You just got to try it.
yeah.
And if it doesn't work, try something else.
Less is more. Don't just keep cranking at him.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's gobbling every once in a while and he's not cutting you off, you know, yeah, play with him. He's not going anywhere. He's not coming to you. He's not really going anywhere. So it's time to play with him. You know, try to change his temperature by creating a fight or making it sound like 2 different hens, or if you and I are hunting together, you can call a little bit, I can call a little bit. Now we are sounding like 2 different hens because we're going to be set up a little bit
Apart. Or change your body, or
Yeah.
know, just do things different to try to mimic what's going on in the wild.
And what's going on in nature, that's right. Another scenario that goes with that is maybe we didn't hear nothing that morning, and we run and gunned and we didn't hear nothing. Okay? Don't go home, don't quit. Think about your property. Where's the strut zones at? Where's the open feeding areas, or where are you seeing the most sign? Or maybe, hey, 2 weeks ago, the turkeys were on this ridge over here. I might go to that ridge, sit down, eat me a snack, rehydrate, and I'm going to set up in that area and just do some soft calling every 15, 20 minutes and
See what happens.
kill the morning like that, because you never know. You know, one might just come easing in there. Not all turkeys gobble.
That's what I was going to say. So down there where I hunt, I've been told by some other turkey hunters that there's a lot of coyotes, a lot of predators, okay? So they don't gobble.
As much, that's right.
They don't make as much noise because they're not wanting to let the predators know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do in a situation like that?
Those situations is where I'm going to get into known turkey areas where I found sign, or I'll get into open areas. I'll set some decoys up, and I just sit down, relax, make some soft calls from time to time, and stay ready, because you know those areas and days like that, I like to set up a ground blind, because now I can be in that ground blind and I can eat my snack and I can drink and I can look on my phone, and while things are not happening.
So that's where you may be in a all-day sit sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna spend several hours in one place.
That you know that there's turkey.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right. So that was scenario 4 with a little additional stuff.
exactly.